everyone, this is Mercy and I'm back again with yet another video for the Otaku edition. So this is going to be my reading log for the month of December 2021, the final reading log of this year. Though I have done only one reading log before, that was for the month of November 2021. I'll leave a card linked somewhere up top right now. A link will also be in the description down below. So yeah, I'm pretty new to this format. This is only my second reading log ever. So I'd love to hear your comments, your criticisms, any ideas, any inputs you have to give me. So with that out of the way, let's get down to it. But before I go any further, I just wanted to tell you guys, please, if you haven't done so already, please smash that like button. Don't forget to hit that beautiful red subscribe button. Become a subscriber to my channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you're notified every time I post something new. Now this month was being the month of Christmas and the festival season and all that, it was pretty hectic for me, so I didn't get much reading done. I got a very limited amount of reading done this month. So I thought anyway I'd share it with you and give you my reading log. So first up, we have Naruto. Now this is Naruto volume 22, but I read Naruto volume 20 and 21. Now I'm slowing down my reading of these volumes mainly because I have only the first boxes, so I have only up till volume 27 and I don't have beyond that. I'm just not able to find box set 2 or 3. Neither of them are coming into stock. So I'm staggering my reading a bit so that I just don't want it to end, so I don't want to finish off the box set and then have to wait for months together to get the next box set. So anyway, I read volumes 20 and 21 of Naruto. These of course are before the time skip. These are of course before the events of Naruto Shippuden. In these volumes, Tsunade has been selected as the 5th Hokage, and Sasuke decides to defect, and Naruto and a couple of his friends, Shikamaru and Neji and all, they decide to go search for him. They are ordered to go and bring him back. So basically volumes 20 and 21 follow Sasuke, basically Sasuke basically leaving the village of Konoha and deciding to join Orochimaru. So that is basically the content of 20 and 21. So yeah, that's Naruto 20 and 21. I haven't started 22 yet. I just have it out to show you because the other 2 volumes are in the box set. So yeah, that's what I read from Naruto. Next up, we have LDK volume 1. Now LDK, this was a total cover buy for me. I just bought the first 2 volumes, wanted to give it a go. It's a shoujo, and I have mentioned before, I'm not the biggest fan about these spines. I don't know how I feel about these spines yet. I thought I'd give 2 volumes a read through and then see how it is and whether I should continue collecting the series. It's basically a cohabitation romance. These two characters, they're neighbors initially, and through a twist of circumstances they end up sharing the same apartment as such, and they start falling for each other. He's the prince of the school, and she's pretty much an ordinary girl. Her best friend confesses to this guy, and he turns her down, so she's angry. She faces off with him. That's their first meeting, but I'm assuming the rest of the story is how they get close together. They get close, how their relationship blossoms. Now this is a pretty standard shoujo. I enjoyed what I read of it so far. It was pretty fun. If you see, the art style is the typical shoujo art style. It got me intrigued and hooked enough that I will be collecting this, but however, it's not going to be very high on my priority list. But on the whole, I enjoyed it. Of the first volume, I don't know where it's going to go. They have introduced, it's already the first volume. They're getting to know each other, and they've already introduced another character who may form a foil for them. So yeah, LDK volume 1, I will be collecting this. It's just not going to be high on my priority list for now. Next up, I have Eden Zero volume 12. This was a banger of an episode. The previous episode, we just began the fight between Drakenjo and Shiki, and this fight, this volume mainly follows this fight between Drakenjo and Shiki and Voice on one side, how they win, and how Shiki uses his ether gear, which is, I believe this is called overdrive or ether drive or something like that. I'm sorry. And with this volume, the Drakenjo arc comes to a close. We do start off the next arc, which was pretty surprising for me where they went with it. We do get to see Eden's One make an appearance, and we get to see Shiki's grandfather, the Demon King Ziggy. We see him. He makes an appearance, but all is not well in all quarters. He seems to be evil. Now, why that is, we don't know. So anyway, this volume basically finishes off the Drakenjo arc and starts the next arc, which is, I'm temporarily calling it the Eden's One arc, but I was pretty surprised where it went, and I can't wait to see how it goes further. What is making the Demon King behave like this? Why is he acting evil? I want to see how Shiki goes forward and how they eventually proceed in their quest to find Mother. So yeah, so that's Eden Zero Volume 12. Now, keeping up with more Hiro Mashima goodness, we have Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest Volume 7 and 8. Now, Volume 7 wrapped up the Wood Dragon arc, the Alderon arc, and we see our characters defeat Alderon and how they do it, a little help from Brandish. So we see our heroes defeat Alderon, and then we find out more about this white witch. I'm forgetting her name right now, but we find out more about her. Also, I gotta say, I wasn't very happy with the turn that this volume took. Volume 7 completes the Alderon arc, and we kick off the Moon Dragon arc with Volume 8, where Natsu and the gang are taken back to a place which they have visited. Now, in case those of you who haven't seen Fairy Tail will probably not be aware of this, but they return to Edolas. That's it. The name of the place is Edolas. Now, I have to say, in the Fairy Tail run of episodes, the Edolas arc was not my favorite arc, and to see that they're returning to it in the 100 Years Quest, I don't know where I fall with that, but we're just starting to get a glimpse of Selene, the Moon Dragon God, that's her, and what her plans are, what she's after. We're getting a better idea. We revisit some old characters in Edolas, and we get to see more about what Selene's endgame is, what she's aiming for. We meet a lot of new characters also, but like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Edolas arc, so I really don't know where this is going. So yeah, that's Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest Volume 7 and 8. This is the story and layout is by Hiro Mashima, but I believe the art is by Atsuo Ueda. So yeah, Fairy Tail Volume 7 and 8. Next up, I have Fire Force Volumes 11, 12 and 13. I have mentioned it multiple times. Fire Force is my personal guilty pleasure. Some of these volumes are so heavy in fan service, but if you can get past those, the story is good. The power system is pretty interesting, particularly the various powers and the manifestation of the third generation and the second generation fire powers. Now I gotta say, volume 11 was my least favorite because there are parts of this that are extremely heavy fan servicey, so if you can get past that. But we do meet up another new character. We meet up the first pillar. She makes an appearance. We get to know more about the Adola link. We meet up with a new character named as Inca, and straight off the bat, let me tell you, I'm not the biggest fan of this Inca character. This girl right here, I am not the biggest fan of her. I actually frankly hated this character, but it makes the story all the more interesting. So we see our main characters, they're trying to put off this massive fire caused by these the white clad people, the guys in white, led by Shinra's brother Sho, and they are after this girl Inca, who they call, I believe, is the fifth pillar or something. So we get a more detailed in-depth look into that. So basically these 3 volumes cover how the Fire Force tries to get their hands on Inca, and how the Evangelist also tries to get his hand on Inca. So that's the basic thing. Also, volume 13 sort of takes a departure towards the end, where we see them leave their main environment and we see them actually travel to a different place, and the way of life in that place is it's really intriguing, and I'd love to see more. I love the world building that they've got going on in Fire Force, and Fire Force 13, this particular volume, Fire Force 13, took that to a whole new level, and I really enjoyed it for that. So Fire Force, if I've got to say, fan service is not your thing, you're going to be a bit disappointed because certain volumes are pretty heavy in the fan service. If you can look past that, it's definitely an interesting read. I believe this is going to be Atsushi Okubo, I'm butchering his name. Atsushi Okubo Sensei's final work. He's going to retire after this. This is of course the creator of Soul Eater. So yeah, that's Fire Force 11, 12 and 13. Okay, now next up is Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 9. Now, the reason I read only one volume of Jujutsu Kaisen this month was because this month I was waiting for the rest of the volumes to come in. Now, I think I have straight up till volume 12, so I can binge read that whole lot. Hopefully, volume 13 will come in the mail sometime, I don't know, in Jan or so. So I'm hoping for that. But volume 9, we've got Geto on the cover, and true to the cover, this gives an idea of why Geto decides to take the path that he does. We certainly don't get any idea as to what he's planning, what the Shibuya arc entails, but we see the face-off between Geto and Megumi Fushigiro's dad. The face-off between Geto, Gojo and Megumi's dad, and we see what causes Geto to start thinking the way he does, what shapes his outlook, why he's motivated to do the thing he does, and what sets him off on the path that he is currently on. So it definitely gave a good deal of backstory, and after reading this, I'm all the more excited to see where this goes. I hear it takes a real dark turn once it enters the Shibuya arc, and I'm all the more ready for it. So yeah, that's Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 9. Next up, I have the Bleach 3-in-1 Omnibus Editions, volumes 34, 35, 36, 37, 38 and 39. So, yeah, we're in the Hyukomondo arc. Currently, a few of the captains have made their appearance in Los Noches. Ichigo and the others are trying to rescue Orihime. So these volumes, first of all, this volume mainly covered the fight between Mayuri and Sazael Aporo. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Captain Mayuri and Sazael Aporo. And we also get in this particular volume, we get a good deal of backstory of Aizen, where he's, what he's been doing all this while, that he was a bad egg straight from the start. So we get a good idea of all that. In these volumes, it introduces us to the captains, the 13 Code Cards captains that were earlier there, and how they are now. We also have an amazing fight between Noitora, I think his name is, and of course Kenpachi Zaraki. So Kenpachi, he just goes all out in this fight, and Noitora he faces off against Noitora, and just, Bleach fights, you think it's going to it's winding down, and it just amps up all the more. So I enjoyed these volumes. I gotta say, I wasn't very interested in the Mayuri Sazael Aporo fight. I was more interested in the Kenpachi Noitora fight, and we get to see the Aizen and his crew make an appearance in Karakura town, and we've got the rest of the 13 Code Card captains there to face off. So it's basically a whole lot of small side fights. Some of them were interesting. Like I said, the Mayuri fight was not exactly something that interested me a lot. So we get an idea of how Urahara, how he started off and stuff like that. So yeah, basically a lot of small side fights. The stuff is amping up a bit, but they do set up the fight between Ulquiorra and Ichigo. I know I'm butchering a lot of the names, but please forgive me for those. But this does set up the big fight between Ulquiorra and Ichigo, and I can't wait to go further ahead and read and see how that fight pans out. Next, I also read this month Death Note Black Edition Volume 2. I think this collects Volume 3 and 4. Basically in this volume, we get introduced to Misa Amane, and we see how she is also in possession of a Death Note, and how her actions and what she does seems to interfere with Light Yagami's plans and his goals, and basically she screws things up for him. So now the art in this is gorgeous, and with Misa Amane's appearance, she makes some big mistakes which causes L to be all the more on Light Yagami and Misa's tail. So basically L starts to has already started suspecting Light Yagami, and this is basically how he works out and how he's trying to solve the problem. There are some interactions between Misa and Light Yagami. I gotta say, I don't like how the character of Misa is portrayed. I have heard that Death Note does not have the best female characters, and I have to agree with Misa. I really didn't like her character at all. I found her highly irritating, but I guess it was necessary to move the plot forward. I'm halfway through volume 3 right now of the Black Edition. So yeah, that's Death Note volume 2. If you like psychological thrillers and games, this is like a real mind game between L and Light. And if you like that sort of thing, each one trying to one up each other, if you like the stuff like Sherlock Holmes trying to beat James Moriarty, then this is definitely up your alley. I would definitely recommend. The art is gorgeous. I have said it before, the art is really good, and I love these color pages that come with this. These color pages with each volume, they look just amazing. The art by Obata Sensei is really good, and the story is also good. Now, if I remember when I watched the anime, it did go off rail for me in the second season. But I'm willing to give it a go. Let's see how it progresses. So that's Death Note Black Edition Volume 2. Next up, I read Noragami Stray God Volume 19 and 20. Volume 18 finished off in one hell of a cliffhanger, and Volume 19 picks up after that. So we end the arc where Bishamon revolts against the heavens, and Yato and his Shinki Yukine are judged, and he has his people who sympathize with him and people who are against him, and how it all pans out, how the heavens declare justice and stuff. So all that ends up in volume 19. Volume 20 is what I'm guessing is the next arc that kicks off. Yato has had enough with the crafters games and manipulation, so he decides to put an end to it, though it's going to come at a heavy cost for him. So Yato decides to finally put an end to the crafter and his machinations, and on the whole, though Noragami is supposed to have romance in it, on the whole there are a few cute fluffy moments between Yato and Hiyori, but it doesn't really progress much beyond a certain limit. It just hints here and there. But volume 20 really kicks it off a notch. Hiyori begins to realize her feelings, that she's getting a clue of what she's feeling for Yato, and Yato being a god, there are definitely complications that arise out of that. So yeah, Noragami, it is picking up from what I read somewhere, or I heard somewhere, that it is going to enter its final arc, but the release of volumes are a bit on the slow side. There is a lot of gap between the volumes that are being released, so it's going to be a excruciating wait. But I think volume 23 or 24 is out, I'm not sure which one, but that's it. So this month I managed to squeeze in volumes 19 and 20 of Noragami. I definitely will be reading more of this. Want to see where it goes. I've always been rooting for Hiyori and Yato. And one more thing. We get to see another side of the Stray that we normally didn't see. At first when I saw this side of the stray, I was like, oh, she's definitely faking it. But then once you enter volume 20, you get to see more of it and you see a different side to her. And at first I totally despised the stray, but you know, this I'll try to find a picture of her. I totally despised the stray, but now after this, but this young lady here, but after this particular volume, I thought I sort of look at her in a totally different light. So yeah, definitely give Noragami a go. If you like the anime, you're definitely going to like the direction the manga is currently going in. I have heard that some people find the first 2 volumes a little difficult to get through, and I have heard this is very polarizing. People either extremely love it or they hate it. I fall under the category that likes it to a good extent. So yeah, I personally would recommend Noragami. Give it a shot. You may end up liking it. Next up, I have Wotakoi, Love is Hard for Otaku, Volume 1. Now, I don't know if you can get this, but my copy came in pretty damaged in delivery. It was like, I don't know if you can see this, it's pretty badly damaged and scuffed up, and I'm not able to get the dirt off. But I digress. Wotakoi Love is Hard for Otaku is a new series for me. I was really hesitant on it. I picked it up purely out of the recommendations I've seen on many people's, many manga tubers videos, and particularly Boogie Snacks. So I'd like to thank Boogie Snacks for recommending this and singing the praises. And I gave it a shot, and I am I'm not in the least feeling bad that I gave this a shot. I'm glad I did, because I really enjoyed this volume of Wotakoi. At first I was wondering, I heard this was a pretty episodical series, so I was hesitant. I was not sure whether I should give it a shot or not. Would it be my cup of tea? Because I generally I like it when there's an overarching plot line or something, that it's not just strictly episodical. But I decided to set my prejudices aside and give it a shot, and I'm glad I did, because I loved this. This story is about these 2 characters. Now this lady right here, she's an office going lady, and all her past relationships end up in disaster after her love interests find out that she's a hardcore otaku. So she tends to hide it from everyone. She even goes to the extent of changing her job so that she can start afresh and nobody will know that she's an otaku. Now at her job, she crosses path with this dude right here, who happens to be a childhood friend, and he also happens to know that she's an otaku, since he is an otaku himself. So he sort of she's scared that he'll out her as an otaku. But they end up bonding over this, and this guy is like, hey, you say all your past relationships fail because they think you're an otaku. Why don't you try dating me? I'm an otaku as well. Maybe we may hit it off. So this is basically a romance between these 2 characters. Now we have some side characters. That's these 2. They are colleagues of our 2 main characters, and they are also otakus. And I particularly like these 2 characters a lot. I think their chemistry is awesome. It's amazing. I love the banter between the 2 and the way they play off each other. So yeah, that's Wotakoi Love is Hard for Otaku. This is just volume 1. I believe it collects volumes 1 and 2 of the Japanese edition. So if you're it's nice to see a few romances with characters of a slightly older age group, maybe in the working class and stuff. So yeah, I would definitely suggest you give this a go. Give the first volume a shot. If it's not your thing, you can drop it. But I had this prejudice, and I really thought I would not enjoy it. That's why I kept away from buying it for so long. But surprise, surprise, I loved it, and I have ordered a few more copies. So yeah, that is Wotakoi Love is Hard for Otaku, Volume 1. I definitely recommend. Next up, we have Vinland Saga Book 3. Okay, Book 2 introduced us to Prince Canute. Let me see if I can find a picture of Prince Canute here. But Prince Canute, he was a very odd character. I didn't know where they were headed with him, what they were planned to do. Look at these color pages, they're so awesome. So this story has got everything. It's got gore, it's got guts, blood, everything. And we've got Prince Canute here. He is currently being held by Askeladd, and Askeladd's got plans for Prince Canute, and you think of Prince Canute in a particular manner, but by the end of this volume, you are totally turned around about how Prince Canute is. I mean, at least his character development in just this one book is he just makes leaps and bounds of change in his character, and his character progression is just so amazing in this one book alone. He went from one of my okay characters to a character that I'm really interested in seeing what happens, where he goes, what his path is, what his relationship with Thorfinn is going to be. So yeah, Vinland Saga, I will always sing its praises. I am glad I gave this one a try. This was one of my first, I will always say this was one of my first seinen series, and I do not regret giving it a shot. So Vinland Saga book 3, definitely give it a shot. We see more of Thorkel. I really love the Thorkel character. That's this guy right here. I think he's a hilarious guy, and his motivations are so simple, and he's such an amazing fighter that I really love him. I like him as a character. He's really entertaining, he's fun, he's brutal at the same time. Yeah, so I am also curious to see how Askeladd's character will progress moving forward, what is in store for him. So if you are into real battlefields and Vikings and stuff, and blood and gore and fighting and politics at the same time, and all these and manipulating people and stuff like that, it's all packed into this, and I definitely suggest you give it a read. If you are of age, this is definitely for those of a older age group. I believe the rating is older teens, ages 16 plus. I definitely suggest, if you are of age, give this a go. You will not regret it. So yeah, these are all that I have read this month. It not as much as I normally read, because I was really busy with holiday preparations and meeting, getting the place, doing the Christmas cleaning and stuff. And I also became a new doggy parent, so I've had my hand full with my new little girl. So I didn't get to read as much as I was hoping to. But I did read a decent amount, and I enjoyed what I read. On the whole, most of the series that I have, I tend to enjoy. As a result, I recommend most of the stuff I have in my possession. If I don't like it by the third volume, I generally give it up. So yeah, these are all the things that I read this month. Not much by any, it is a pretty modest, but I liked everything I read on the whole. I really enjoyed it, save for a few volumes of Fire Force. I thought everything else was pretty good. It was a fun time, and I would definitely recommend to anyone to read these and give them a shot as well, particularly Noragami and Wotakoi. I would definitely suggest you give them a go. If you can look past the original biases, they are fun reads, particularly if you like those sort of stuff. So yeah, that's all I have for you right now. I'm going to end right around here. Before I go, you can always hit me up on all my social media contacts. Links are in the description down below. They're also currently up on the screen. You can hit me up on Twitter simply at Mercy_D. Check out my Instagram at Mercy_SD, and the Funny Pajamas page simply at Funny Pajamas, Facebook page simply at Funny Pajamas. Also, if you want to hit me up by email, why don't you go ahead, hit me up on mercy@funny-pajamas.com, and everywhere it's pajamas with a Y. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd like to hear your comments. Your comments and your advice, your suggestions, your criticisms, they all help me grow and become better. I've got some great recommendations from you guys, so keep the recommendations coming in. I'd always appreciate it. I love the manga community here, particularly everyone who's been so helpful to me. All the more established manga tubers who always take their time. And since this is, I'm guessing this is going to come 1 week after the new year, but anyway, I'm going to wish you guys Happy New Year. Have a wonderful year ahead. Blessings to all of you. And with that, I have blabbered on unendingly, and I must have bored you. So I am going to end here. This is Mercy signing off for now. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye. Have a good one.